Hello Year 5, welcome to Thursday's English lesson where we are having a skill lesson all about parenthesis. Okay, now parenthesis is a word or phrase inserted into the middle of a sentence to give extra information using brackets, commas or dashes. So it's 3 ways in which we can achieve a parenthesis in our writing. Now top tip, the rest of the sentence makes sense without it. You can also use dashes to add something dramatic at the end of a sentence, which will be really helpful this term when we are thinking about writing some spooky stories just like clockwork. Okay, let's find out a bit more. Okay, so what is parenthesis? It's a word, phrase or sentence that is put in writing as extra information or an afterthought. If you took the parenthesis away, the passage would still be complete without it. Now here is 3 examples of a parenthesis. Can you spot the difference between them? The narcissus, daffodil, is a spring plant with yellow petals. My brother, the one who lives in Australia, is coming to the wedding. Manchester United won the league today. It was exciting. Okay, so here we've got the first one is telling us what kind of flower the narcissus is. It's a daffodil, so it's giving you the key information you need. It's clarifying what it is. Excuse me. The second one, my brother, the one who lives in Australia, is coming to the wedding. The parenthesis is here. It's telling us which brother it is. It's the one who lives over in Australia. And Manchester United won the league today. It was exciting. It's an afterthought. It's telling you how exciting the game was. Okay, where do I put the brackets? So we're saying using brackets for a parenthesis. Where do they go? Now, only put it around the parenthesis itself. You cannot have brackets around the whole sentence. It must only be around that bit of extra information that you are adding. And the way you can check it is if you can take out your parenthesis, your brackets, take them out and see if your sentence still makes the same amount of sense. Just like with our relative clauses last term. So, read these sentences. Which sentence do you think has the brackets in the right place? I'll read them for you. Some people don't like the rain, especially in England, but I do. Some people don't like the rain, especially in England, but I do. Some people don't like the rain, especially in England, but I do. Which one do you think has the brackets in the right place? Have a think and think about why you know. How do you know that that one has the parenthesis and the brackets in the right place? Okay, hopefully you spotted. It was C. Some people don't like the rain, especially in England, but I do. It has the brackets around the extra bit of information, and if you took out those brackets, it would still make sense. Some people don't like the rain, but I do. Okay, fantastic. So again, just like with relative clauses, the extra bit of information, if you take it away, it will still make sense without it. Okay, so there are other ways to mark parenthesis. There are other ways in which we can do it without using a bracket or a pair of brackets. Okay, you can use commas. Commas can be used just like brackets for parenthesis, usually in less formal writing. For example, the newspaper, which is normally delivered at 9:30, did not come today. And you eagle-eyed Year 5s probably spotted that this was a rem-bedded clause. So as well as being a parenthesis, it's a rem-bedded clause with our comma sandwich in the middle there. So a parenthesis is a relative clause as well. Okay, now dashes can be used just like brackets, but is only used in informal writing. They can interrupt the sentence more. It's more choppy to read as a reader. If you're reading with dashes, you're more likely to go, oh, take yourself out of the reading. So it's only used in informal writing. You might remember that Cosmic had quite a lot of dashes in it for its parenthesis. Tonight I'm going out. I never turn down a night out to the cinema. So that extra information is here, and it's got dashes on either side to sandwich it into place in the middle of our sentence. Now, the double dash. Now, definition of a dash, if you're not sure. They perform the same thing as brackets. They surround additional information They sandwich the extra information in the middle of a sentence. For example, the train, which was late, was heading to Paris. So that extra information telling us that the train was late is sandwiched in between our double dash. Okay, really important side note here. Don't confuse your dashes and your hyphens. Now, hyphens are used in the middle of words. They're in the middle of words to pull them together, whereas dashes are longer marks and they are used in between words with spaces either side. So when you're using a dash, make sure you leave a space just like you leave spaces between words. Okay, the dramatic dash. This is going to be really helpful for us this term when we are writing some dramatic stories. Okay, it's a punctuation mark which is used when you want to emphasize additional information, when you want to make something really clear and important to your reader. So it was a long wait, dash, perhaps the longest of his life. So not only was it a long wait, it was the longest wait he's ever done. And I've used a dramatic dash here to show that, and I've only used one. Unlike when it's in the middle of a sentence, you are never going to finish your sentence with a dash. So you only use one when you are tagging on extra information, when you are doing it with dashes. So, whereas brackets must always be in pairs, only one dash is required if the parenthesis comes at the end. Okay? The idea of a dramatic dash is to shock or surprise the reader at the very end of the sentence. You want to wow them with a little bit of extra information. Okay, the difference between dashes, brackets and paired commas or relative clauses. Relative or embedded clauses, there we go. Okay, the choice of dashes, brackets or commas depends on the level of importance of the additional information. So it depends what the extra information is. So use brackets when the information is an aside or non-essential to the reader. So you just add in a little bit of, oh, did you know this too? It's not essential to the story, but it's quite nice for you as the author to tell the reader. Use commas when the information is of roughly equal priority to the other facts in the sentence and is something you'd like your reader to note and know. So if you've got two bits of information and they're both important for the reader to know, you use commas because that tells me that they are equally important, more or less. And then use dashes when you want to emphasize the extra information. When that extra information is so important that your story cannot progress without it, your information cannot progress without that bit of information, you are going to use your dashes to emphasize it. Okay. Right. On the website, you have got your parenthesis activities. Okay. Have a look. Are you going to challenge yourself today? You've got your learning, your using and exploring. Where are you going to start? Okay, pick one of those for me, complete that, and then have a go at your mini burst. Okay, your mini burst today is going to be a tourist visit to the great clock of Glockenheim. And I want you to really pack that parenthesis in. I want to read so many parentheses in your mini burst that I cannot wait to go and visit the great clock of Glockenheim myself. So you are going to be describing that brilliant clock. You are going to be describing the figures that come out of it. Remember, it's got a saint figure that comes out on its saint day, and it takes 12 months for the whole clock to work its way through all of the figures it's got. You can always go back and listen to the guided reading session when we read that description of the great clock of Glockenheim as well, if you want to remind yourself. Now, I know we've gone through that skill quite quickly today, so don't be afraid to go back and listen again to our parenthesis skill. Now, before you get going on those, let's do a little example of using brackets for parenthesis. Can we put the brackets around the parenthesis in these sentences? Pause me here, have a go, see if you can spot where the parenthesis should go using the brackets. All right, and then I will show you where I've put them. And if you're unclear about why I put them there, then pop along to the daily drop-in session with me or with Mrs. E before you start writing and we can answer your questions all about parenthesis. So pause me here. 3, 2, 1. Okay, guys, Here's where I put my brackets because I thought Peter, my dad, took me to the park. So it's telling your reader who Peter is. Peter is the dad. And then Tom, my friend from school, helped me carry my project home. And I can check that these sentences make sense without it. Peter took me to the park. Check. Tom helped me carry my project home. Check. They both make sense if you were to take out that parenthesis in between those brackets. So have a go at those activities on the website and have a go at your mini burst. Please send your mini burst to me or Mrs. E to have a look at. And if you're unclear, you want to go back over, watch the video again or come to the daily drop-in session and we will go over it in more detail for you. Have a fantastic Thursday, guys.